Languages and Literatures and a residential fellow at the Center for the Study of Gender and Sexuality here at UChicago. I would like to welcome you to today's press talk, Poetics and Performance in the Diaspora, a conversation and workshop with Josefina Baez. This event would not have been possible without the support of our co-sponsors, the Center for the Study of Race, Politics, and Culture, specifically its Associate Director, Tracy Matthews, its Program Coordinator, Camille Morgan, and its Media Assistant, Alyssa Rodriguez. The Center for the Study of Gender and Sexuality, specifically its Student Affairs Coordinator, Sarah Toy, its Program Coordinator, Tate Brazas, and its Associate Director, Gina Olson. I would also like to acknowledge Robbie Randava, Senior Director for the Center for Identity and Inclusion and Assistant Dean of Students in the university. Natalie Arsenal and the staff at the Center for Latin American Studies, the Hispanic and Luso-Brazilian Graduate Student Committee, especially its Secretary, Miriam Pacheco Salazar, and the Logan Center Course Arts Resources Fund. In addition, I would like to recognize the liaisons between the coordinators of this event and our guest speaker, my student, Maria Snyder, her brother and collaborator with Josefina Baez, Carlos Snyder, who's with us today, Miguel Martinez, Associate Professor at the Department of Romance, Languages, and Literatures, and Sharina Mayo Pozo, Assistant Professor at the State University of New York at New Paltz. To all, thank you for your support and presence here today. So throughout the academic year, CRES, or the Program in Comparative Race and Ethnic Studies, and the Center for the Study of Race, Politics, and Culture present a speaker series designated to bring to campus scholars and writers whose works are currently being taught at UChicago. This quarter, we have invited Josefina Baez, whose book Dominicanish I have included as a reading in the course I am teaching called Embodiment and Identity in the Literatures of the Hispanic Caribbean. Sharina Mayo Pozo, scholar in Dominican studies, describes the text as an exploration of the fluid nature of identity, especially the subjectivity of the body, language, and the migrant experience. These themes could not be more relevant today, because today marks the day of the Dominican Republic's independence from Haiti since 1844. For 10 years, the Haitians and Dominicans fought to either consolidate or divide Hispaniola, the island territory that unified both countries in the wake of Spanish rule. It was a war that, to this day, continues to impact the conversation about Dominican and Haitian identity and the construction of nationhood and nationalism. Then, after gaining its independence from Haiti, the Dominican Republic had to grapple with the invasion of the United States in 1916 and its interventionist policies. Pedro Enriquez Ureña, a Dominican philosopher, humanist, and literary critic, opposed such policies. Like many Dominicans, Enriquez Ureña migrated to the United States, living in places like Washington, D.C. and New York City. He was also a faculty member at the University of Minnesota during the 1920s. Like Josefina Baez's texts, his writings influence our understanding of migrant communities and the ramifications of an Americanism that does or does not preserve and value the cultures of Latin American communities. As it turns out, one of the students in my class is a descendant of Enriquez Ureña. His name is Jan Verdeja Herms. He is a fourth-year student in the college majoring in computer science, and I'd like to invite him to present our distinguished guest.
Thank you, thanks everyone for coming out. Just I want to give a biography of Josefina Baez. So Josefina Baez was born in Romana, a city in the Dominican Republic. She came to the United States in 1972, resided in New York City before moving to Atlanta, Georgia, where she's currently based. She's a storyteller, artisan, performer, writer, and educator who grounds her work in popular culture and experiences of everyday life. She's the founder and director of the Latinarte Ombe Theatre, established in April 1986. An artist of intersecting identities and multifaceted creativity, she is best known for her performance texts, including Dominicanish, Comrade, Bliss ain't playing, and Levente, Yolayorkdominicanyork. Works that explore racial and ethnic identities, global concerns, spirituality, and psychology. Her most recent work, As Is A, was published in 2015, and it contains a selection of texts in English, Spanish, and Dominicanish. Dr. Silvia Torres Sayan, a professor of English at Syracuse University and founding director of CUNY Dominican Studies Institute, speaks about Baez's work as, quote, one of the most important interventions that reflects on the Dominican cultural experience. Dominicanish offers an open, ontological framework where everything that empirically fits in the lives of the Dominican diaspora is part of the identity formation of what we are as a nation, here and there. Baez's poetry has appeared in various publications, such as Latino Caribbean Literature and Anthology, and in the book Caribbean Connections, Moving North. In 1999, she published a collection of poetry entitled Aquí ahora es Manhattan, allá lo antes la Romana, Manhattan, here now, there la Romana. In 2013, she published a children's book, Why is my name Marisol? ¿Por qué mi nombre es Marisol? Which has been published in Spanish, English, and Portuguese. That same year, she collaborated with women from Chile and the Dominican Republic in order to publish an anthology of dramaturgy entitled Autology de Performance, or the Autology of Performance. Baez has traveled across the United States and internationally performing her work, conducting workshops and retreats on performance autology, a system of art she created in which each participant fashions his or her own autology. Her 2014 collection of work entitled Dramaturgia y Ombe explores this system of artistic expression. It is an approach to the creative process from the autobiography of the doer in order to create from a joyful and healthy place, thus following one's own inner guidance. So we will turn now to a brief conversation with the guest. So please help me in welcoming Josefina Baez.
Hello, Josefina. Hello again. So we'll keep this brief because we do want to dedicate time to the workshop. So I'll just pose a few questions and maybe a few questions from the audience if there's time. What is poetics and performance to you?
Poetics is a way of life, a way of seeing life, and all is text for me. You know what? Especially my sources. Like it's everything that I see. Everything is my five senses. What comes through my five senses. Then the craft is to go and work it. I mean, to see what is effective later on as work, as literature. But the poetics is that rhythm of life, and what I do from the senses and with the senses.
And how do you see poetics and performance expressed through the stories that are told in the Dominican Republic or in the Latin American diaspora?
We have it in our bodies. I mean, it's usually the I that speaks in the diaspora. We need to say that the silences. We have to talk about those silences. So we have gone to that very specific history, stories and history that is not in the textbooks. You know, we have to say our own stories, and the diaspora, specifically performance, have been dealing with that.
Is your art informed, impacted by, or does it comment on current socio-political relations between the Dominican Republic and Haiti?
I mean, I am that. I mean, yo soy la haitiana. I don't have anything to say, but I'm that. I mean, people look at me and what do they see? Is Dominicana? No, they see a woman that is black. And this is what, I mean, if it's the racial race with Haiti and the poverty, this is me, all that. So if I survive, Haiti survives, or any Dominican that has the same class that I do.
Mm-hmm. Your most recent work is As Is A. It was published in 2015. It's a selection of texts written in English, Spanish, and Dominicanish. Can you tell us more about the texts included in that collection and their expression in these three languages?
The more I see it, it took me time to select and to organize it, to see what comes first and what works. I mean, the rhythm, to get a rhythm, it takes I'm a very slow worker. So I have to find that rhythm that has this flow that is not, I'm not able to say what it is, but I know. And so it has from microtext to poetry, to prose, to performance text, to stories. There's one story there that I'm very attached to still. It's a story that is called Anna and Anand, that it was a request by a friend in India, and he created this amazing book about the Latin Americans and India, and it was for para paz, para el embajador Octavio Paz's great century celebrations, right? And I was asked from New York to write story, and I said, well, I'm writing this story that might help, and because I mean they wanted to include a place outside Latin America that has so many of us. So I'm still reading it, and in the reading I don't have the rhythm that I want, but as a piece of literature, yes. So it's like kind of, but that is included there. And there's another text that is included that the process was from storytelling to writing. So it's like, besides the text that you see, it's like I can trace my different exercises, writing exercises, performance exercises too. So it's like this inner flow in it that I can check.
Is that what you call Dominicanish?
Dominicanish, there's some words that I don't know how to translate into English, and me being Dominicaniork, there's a play with the syntax of both languages. I mean, I love grammar. And I do. So I like to enter into syntaxes. There's an inner rhythm within the grammar that you can go there and you can, like Dominicanish. Dominicanish works with, it has a meaning in a phrase, and then I break it, and then I go, and within that rhythm that you create, it goes crazy in the head, you know? But it's that rhythm within. Yeah. So that is in the book too. I think it's a pretty good selection. Mars, right? Yeah.
How would you describe the reception of your text and your work in the different spaces that you inhabit?
I'm not able to say anything about that, because people can say whatever they want, but that doesn't mean that that's the truth. But I have a pretty good relationship with the scholars, young scholars. They teach me a lot about my work. They don't play. It's like they say that where you going from this way, and also it's a very an important source for me to dialogue with my text. In Dominican Republic now, the millennials, the young Dominicans are discovering me, so I'm not able to see. It would be unjust, because I mean there's a lot of people that I don't know that read my work. I mean Levente, it's a crazy text, and in Mexico they are the ones that are buying Levente. So, and they are downloading into their telephone. So, I mean, I don't have a grasp of I will be unjust if I say. But, I mean, the little circles that teach me and I have dialogue. Yeah.
You told a story in my class about this lady that came up to you. Was it in New Zealand?
In New Zealand, in Yolayorkdominicanyork, yes.
Can you tell us about that experience?
We're talking about Dominicanish. I performed Dominicanish thousands of times for 10 years. I did a tour in both islands in New Zealand. And one of the staff, I have, after the performance, we had a dialogue, and this young woman comes and said, I have a lot of questions, and with this pause, and I don't want any answers to. And I'm like, wow. And I said, can you be my teacher? You know, and in New Zealand, the last performance, that was a very interesting thing. The last performance, I was in every single town, I had a different trumpet player. So it was like a little bit, I was very control freak of the performance and the quality and all that. And so I'm in the performance, and in the first road, there's this woman that is doing like that, and I'm like, I have to have 150% concentration, and I'm like upset and all that, and I'm doing my work, and she's upset. So then at the end, she's the first one who raised, and she said like, I am a pakeha. Pakeha is the white in Maori. I'm a pakeha and my family is from the founders of this country. And you came to my country, and I'm very uncomfortable seeing the first 20 minutes of Dominicanish. And I'm like, thank you. Yes, this is the way it is, you know. And she's like, huh? I said, yeah, that, I mean, you were just 20 minutes. This is the way we feel being a migrant at all times. And I said, will you write that to me? And she said, okay, and we have become very good friends. And she wrote that, and it, at the Om 10, that the student was saying, we had an exhibit, and the letter was there. And she wrote that. You know? It was very, Dominicanish had a lot of, it's either or in the middle, and we had a lot of questions about, because I mean, the performance and the text, you will feel. It's not about understanding. It's a very, it was a very thoughtful performance, a very thoughtful text. It took a lot of time. It took a lot of effort for me to create it and to perform it.
Why do you think people feel uncomfortable with your text or your performances?
With that performance specifically, the text is because this is the way our brain is, but the society, they have organized thought in something that is not, that is always just one way. You know? So then we are uncomfortable seeing like, is it, is not, I mean, it's the way it is. You know, it's, association is one thing, it's like our natural flow. So then, and the idea will be to be able to swim in every place. You know? What I was saying, that I always say, what do we do with difference? What do we do with difference? It's the same thing for texts too.
How would you describe the process of translation between your texts and seeing that in the performance or reflected in the performance or change or transform?
There are two different texts when it's in the body. My body will emphasize or will be working or dancing or playing to consonant. I don't see it as sentences or a thought. I see it as partiture. In fact, we call it partiture. So I enter with the okay, I will play with vocals. Wow. And then I can go to boleros. I use a lot boleros and popular music to listen to a song. Qué sé yo, Tito Rodriguez, I don't know if you have heard Tito Rodriguez, and he go like that, and it's very important. So then that I will take that and I will put it in my text and I will extend the meaning. Because then I will have this text that is not mentioning the Tito Rodriguez, but I will, so one person might have heard him, but another person might have in the text. So those little things that I do give me alertness, and that means that I'm alive. I'm just like to do that to myself. Yeah.
How do you process when you collaborate with others on your own work, either a text or a performance? How do you process the intervention?
With scholars, I learned to, students, they have their own take on it, you know, because I mean, we have different tools to analyze it and to, I mean, I use my body. This is the way that I can braid. And with other artists, I can, we usually, what we do is listen, and people will have their own take on it. I mean, we work, Carlos and myself, in lecturings with Bliss. And so he studied Bliss, and I wrote it, but at that point, I'm not the writer. I'm the person that is collaborating. I just have to listen and see what is it. I mean, I work, I trust what I do when I enter a text, and I trust what the others will do. So it's not, I flow.
I have one more question for you, but I do want to give the audience an opportunity to ask any questions if they may have any.
Well, thank you for coming, first of all. And
Thank you.
I was curious, you mentioned that you're really interested in grammar, right? And I was curious if you could speak a little bit more about what writing and inhabiting that Spanglish feels like. How would you describe that process? How does it feel in your body, if your body is the tool, right, as you just mentioned? Yeah, just a little bit more about that writing process.
The whole grammar stuff, at the end you won't see it. I mean, my aunt was a grammar teacher, so, oh my God, when she saw Dominicanish, she said, what happened? I thought you knew grammar. I mean, and she gave me a lot of, books again to review it. So it's like, for me, I have to be true to my process. So I know grammar, I study still grammar, English and Spanish, and I really enjoy it. I enjoy it. Now I'm working with accents again. And there was a time when I was writing, I don't want no accent. I want to when I read, I want to go where I want to go. I mean, things that happen to you, phases. But I invested time within, and I think that people that are not interested in that game, what they take is my seriousness in it. It's like, oh my God, I don't know what she's writing, but that kid is serious about what she's doing. I think it's valid too. But my process is like, I write and I read more than I write. But I read, what I write, I don't start with a theme. I just write, I'm a writer, I'm not a thematical. But I have 3 projects at the same time. Because I'm hyperactive, as you can see. So my task is to do my work. So I have 3 projects at the same time, so I have one that is at the beginning, I have one that is in the middle, and I have one that is finishing. So I have no excuse not to work. If this one that is almost complete is like, oh my God, this is, so then I'm working in different technique or polishing, so that will require one part of my life. But the other one, I mean, I'm beginning to research the epistolary genre. Asia is a big source for me for writing. Yeah. So then I wanted to go like the things that I usually do, and I said like, no, I'm going. So I asked my friends that are scholars, and they're saying, read this. So then that it's a huge thing, and it's like now I'm able to go like with borderless in that one. In the other one, I have to be sharp. In the other one, I can play still. So that gives me, I mean, takes away the excuse for me. But I need that. So I write. I'm writing with images. I write with sounds. I was walking in the woods, and the crunchiness of the sound. So I recorded that, and I mean, I go, I go crazy. Yeah.
Can you say something more about like the partiture? Like you said, like you see the script as a partiture, and I felt like it's a really nice metaphor. Like anyone can play a partiture, but like there's a scale, so like there are still limits to what you can do when you're reading a partiture or like you're doing a partiture. So like, can you?
The term is not mine.
Okay.
It comes from biomechanics, theater biomechanics by Meyerhold. In Meyerhold, when you do a physical, they call it physical phrase, you know, like I can do from here, 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 and I have to be able to do the same thing at the same angle at all times. So that is a physical partiture. So I took it from there. So then sometimes I work just physical partitures that come from many sources. I mean, from Zen archery, from cartoons, I don't know. I mean, everything that I see, especially what I see in the streets, that gives me a lot. And so that I have the physicality, and then I can paint it with text and process and work, you know, till I make a braid. Yeah, but I mean, it takes time. For me, I'm very slow. Terrible. But I just work, and I have a lot of sources, you know, especially the streets. For the workshop today, I wanted to use as text. You see that in the train here, in the ¿cómo le dicen tren acá?
Metro.
Metro. The metro, the emergency text that I said. Who remembers that text? You have seen it.
Like the emergency?
Yeah, the emergency.
So the window?
Yeah, there the windows, and you know, there's this huge poster.
Don't step on the rail because it's electrified or something.
Yes.
Like that. Like leave like the right side, and this is instruction, like four or five instructions to
Exactly.
how to leave or how not to leave the.
And the rail, when they say that, they put like.
Yeah, someone in the.
So all that for me is material. So the text, the sound, I mean, we were coming from we passed through the cathedral, I mean, how the lines are there, that's, I mean, I take pictures because this is information for me, how I move, or how I write, so everything, it's a lot of, that's why to be alert, to be in the senses, it drains you. Because you are, yeah, drains
That's
you.
what you call your poetics, right? Like those materials. But do you think like, or are you aware of how your poetics change? Like, why are you paying attention at one point of time? Like, or like what? Yeah, what? I guess my question is like, what changes or like what underlines your poetics under certain times? Like,
You mean the emphasis in one thing or the other?
Yeah, exactly. Why do you? Like, are you aware of why you're paying attention to those lines or like the escape instructions instead of other things, or like? Like,
well, the choosing, I mean, I'm not able to say yet, but I don't think I will never. My five senses are there. That sense, I'm there. Maybe because I have been in New York way too much. I'm like, what, you know? So I'm ready. It's like, could be that, you know? But I mean, the senses are very
Especially on the metro, right?
Right? Oh, it's like, there was this, when I was coming to the hotel, there's this kid that I like, and I'm like, I said, I got his words at me, like, yo. Yeah, but it's the alertness of being alive. You know. I think that I don't take the poetry or my outside my life. No, including everything. I mean, when I do the dishes, that's part of my poetics. I'm cooking too. It's big in my work.
Being present.
Being present. Now they call it
Mindfulness. But that's a bit limiting, right? Because what about the emotions or the materiality of the body too, right? And
Yeah.
how you feel and how you sense certain things.
Exactly, where it all happen. Yeah. It's like you take it and continue. That is what I have found, and it has basically. We work from a trinity, the physical, the mind, and the conscience, or like this, you know, conscience we say, And so I have research. I have been a dancer when I was very young, and so the body was very, very vital. I mean, you know, crooked knees and all that. So you had to know the body. You had to know. We were always in pain, so you have to know how to heal. When there's no, I mean, we women we have every single day we have a different balance, a level of balance. So then you must know that. Me as a director, I must know that, so I will know what to ask and what to expect from an artist. Yeah? So then I invested a lot of time since 1986 to research, and I still researching remedies from La Abuela to everything that works. You know? And Ayurveda, everything that works, and I am not able to do it. So it's an ongoing research. So the people that work with me, they have their own research. We share a very basic, and everybody goes their way. You know, Autology is this free, not to have your, like naming the baby, your process. Yeah? And it's what I really like is that it's not for artists, you know, it's for everybody to live a creative life, a life game. And we structure the imparting in workshops, but we impart mainly the school is we do retreats, 10 days retreat, and we have, you know, government people, musicians and visual artists and la mamá de alguien, the mother of somebody. You know, it's just not about the art, but the body, lo que tú decías, la corporealidad. Where is the seat of scholar work? I mean, to be sane. I mean, we need the scholars to be sane. You know? So physically, you know, physically, mentally. So that's what we do. And we have a lot of exercises. I hope that you stayed and we sweat together. No, you don't. But I mean, you can in and out of the work, and this is how I create my performance, all my performances and my writing. You know, we need to know the body. Where is it? How we sit? What do you do with the downtime? Yeah? What do you do with that? What if you're depressed? What do you do with that? I say, oh no, I'm not depressed. No, you're fucking depressed. You know? Where is it? What do you do with that? You know, let's you know, we really have to take care of ourselves. I work from joy. For me, joy is the element in performance ontology. In the middle of the most craziest crisis. I will always go to that from the heart, the joy. It's not the joy of laughing. It's this contentment, this amazing gratitude, you know, for being able to continue.
Well, the time is yours.
Oh, yeah.